There's this thing now where women who are dressed basically in spandex, clingy underpants and sports bras.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hubba hubba, bros. Hubba hubba. Hey, Stefan, you can say underpants again. It's like sex talk, dude, when Eisenhower was president, you know? It's like just before Nixon was nominated as the VP is when we talked like that. Underpants.
Spandex, clingy underpants and sports bras.
Stefan, come on. You know, we need to kind of loosen up here. We're going to be talking about sex. We're going to be talking about ladies. They're flaunting their booty at the gym like philosophy doesn't exist. That's what these ladies do. They don't know about the Emmanuel of our days, Stefan Molyneux. They don't know the philosopher, and yet they're defining our fragile minds because we look and then we fix ourselves on a lady because that's normal. It's what she's wearing. But these are some of the things that are going on at the gym. It really is a very charged environment that a lot of philosophers haven't actually explored. That's why we have old Stefan here, you know, getting into the action as much as he can. Actually, like from listening to Stefan, you know, sometimes, you know, it's almost like Stefan is in an old school circus and he's fighting off the lion with like a chair and a whip. And the lion could be viewed as human sexuality that exists outside of reason, or it could be viewed as your sex life if you listen to Stefan. So there are kind of multiple interpretations as to how you see Stefan in this whole game, in this whole scenario.
Clingy underpants.
All right, my dudes, let's get into it. Let's get into this booty at the gym. Let's get into these pants and other revealing shit. You know that messes with us. That sort of makes us say, "No, lady, why do you dress like that?" You know, things of this nature. It's philosophy, my dude.
And they're filming themselves at the gym, and then they complain that men are ogling them, that men are looking at them. So look, here's a trick for understanding the world, because I understand it's really easy to just say, oh, come on, you dress like that, you want attention, blah, 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 right? Now, of course, we're not evolved to meet strangers, right? We're not evolved to date strangers. We're not evolved to need to put all of this stuff on display for the simple reason that we grew up in small tribes, we grew up in local farming communities, we grew up in little villages, so
for centuries, our ancestors grew up in small villages, right? Small villages like Kyoto, like Cairo, like Rome, like Constantinople, little places like that, Athens. Meeting strangers, not too unnatural. Not unnatural at all, in fact, for many, many people who don't live deep in the Amazon, where old booty has been seen already. It's a kind of, you can wear whatever you want to now. I've already seen your booty for tens of years, for decades. I've been seeing this booty. You can't hide it from me now in the Amazon.
whoever you would marry or whoever you'd be interested in, you'd know whether they were single, you'd know their family, you'd know their history, you would have grown up together, you'd know their personality. So this idea that we're just really, really well designed to go out and pick rando strangers to become our lifelong mates and the parents to our children, we're not good at that. We're not evolved for that.
Now, humanoid lizard, Stefan Planet Fitness Molyneux, is gonna unravel this whole thing. You know, there are like a lot of red pills if you just want to open your mouth. And we're gonna get to that in a moment. But before we go down this lizard hole, I like to, add my input. Now, it's not going to be as far-reaching as Stefan's, but, we all have a right to speech. We all have a right to, say what's on our hearts. And so here are my thoughts about ladies wearing, reviewing things at the gym. Let's put it this way. So there are a couple of possibilities here that need to be considered. Number one is that those things are comfortable to wear. I know it might sound insane. Like you see cyclists, it may be that they're whores who like to hide nothing about their bodies, or maybe it's comfortable to wear and it makes sense to wear on a bike. But let's keep our mind open to cyclists being huge whores and sluts and harlots. I'm open to that. So that's kind of number one. Number two reason a lady might wear more revealing outfits is because it looks pretty. That's a possibility. And finally, there is both. So one of those three, right? Okay. All right, and then why do young bucks? We should not just let it off with young honeys, but we shouldn't forget the bucks, the young bucks. Kind of pumped up on that testosterone, walking around there in the gym. So why do they wear sleeveless shirts, the young bucks? Or kind of the male tank tops that they wear. So there could be a couple of explanations here. Number one, it could be that they're comfortable wearing it, right? So that's one possibility. The second possibility is a lot of people don't look at as to why men wear sleeveless shirts at the gym is because they're afraid that their sleeve is actually gonna be squeezed together by the exercise machine and rip their hand off. So a lot of this is safety when men wear sleeveless shirts at the gym, and it could be because they're out there trying to catch the sight of a young honey. So these things we've covered.
We're not designed for that. It's R versus K selection, right? R selection is like rabbits, just have a whole bunch of kids, don't invest in the offspring. K selection is have fewer number of kids with higher quality partners, really invest in your offspring. So it's wolves versus rabbits and so on. And so this sort of mating with strangers strategy is very, very R selected, which tends to be less complicated, less sophisticated brain structures in animals. So first of all, we're not designed to find our own mates in the wild. That's not how human beings evolved, even remotely. So that's sort of number one thing to understand. Number two, of course, is that a woman who has a really good figure and so on, she obviously is going to want to flaunt it to try and attract a high quality, high value mate, but she's going to want to chase away or keep away the men that she doesn't want to approach her.
One aspect that the humanoid doesn't bring up so much about the gym is that amazingly a lot of people go there primarily to work out or look at yourself in the mirror, which is a normal narcissistic part of going to the gym. Check yourself out in the mirror, do things, be done in about an hour, maybe go to the same gym 3 times a week or whatever. People just come in and out of there. They're not looking for the hunting grounds. They're not out there to snatch honeys. Women aren't there thinking about their mates while looking around different guys working out. Most people aren't. Now, sometimes, of course, you get a sight of a good-looking person. Of course, we check it out. But it's so much less dramatic. And I feel that, Stefan, the Pied Piper Planet Fitness guru, to many people who are on the spectrum, this is another bridge to normalcy, the gym, that he's setting aflame and destroying. You go to the gym, I've been to the gym, and I've seen ladies there, and then I just was lazy and I didn't go to the gym anymore. That's the kind of the gym odyssey that happens. People get hyped up on the gym at the beginning of the year, then the rest of the year they're too lazy to cancel their membership. Of course people go there to look at honeys. Of course they do. But it's just not this kind of a place, my friends, that Stefan is making it out to be. It really isn't so dramatic going to the gym. Your gym card actually doesn't open up anything. This is not the start of a Tolstoy novel or Girls Gone Wild or whatever. This is just people working out, checking themselves out in the mirror, checking other people, and then fucking getting the fuck out of there.
Right, so this is a sort of shaming thing that is designed to keep the lower quality men away by having them lose their confidence because they don't want to be perceived as pervy or creepy or whatever, right? So the men who have lower confidence will tend to stay away. Now, however, you get a bit of a wide net with this stuff, because it's not just lower confidence men who stay away. The men who stay away are the people who have some sensitivity to somebody else's feelings. This is a clarion call for sociopaths to approach women, because a sociopath won't feel any fear. He won't feel any anxiety. And so he won't care that she doesn't want to be sexualized, or doesn't, she don't approach women in the gym because it's creepy. He won't care about that. So in many ways, sensitivity and low confidence are two sides of the same coin.
It's two sides of the same coin, kind of like Stefan himself. Now, one side of the coin that we're constantly seeing is the humanite Stefan in human form. And the other one is the essence of Stefan, which is a lizard, an intergalactic lizard that has been beamed here from the mothership. And the thing about Stefan is that, he found the homeless person, he killed him, and then he ate his innards, and then he took the skin. And that's what we're seeing right now. That's the one side of the coin. And the other side of the coin, this is because all the gloves are off when Stefan is in his his original form, when he is who he is. So it's kind of one of those things, one of the things you don't expect to be on the other side of the coin, because he seems so human. Okay, well, you know what I mean anyway.
Now, the guys who have no empathy, it's very close to high confidence. High confidence. So high confidence is, I'm a high value male. I'm going to approach the girl. If she says no, that's no biggie or whatever, right? But having no fear is very similar in its appearance to high confidence. And having low confidence is very similar to having empathy. Now, of course, the best case scenario for a woman is a high confidence man who has empathy. This is the ideal, right? Now, women, if they have to choose, they will choose high confidence over empathy, as is the 50 Shades of Grey. So she wants to attract men, but she wants to push away the lower status men. But by pushing away the lower status men, she's also pushing away the men who have sensitivity, and then she would complain to the men who have sensitivity that the guy who pushed all the way through her don't approach women stuff, that he lacks empathy. He's kind of cold-hearted and selfish and all that. It's like, well, yeah, that's what you signal for.
So we all have preferences in our prospective partners. In my whole life, and I'm right now in my mid to late 30s, in all this life experience, I've only been in love 2 times with 2 ladies. And these ladies have been, conventionally speaking, very attractive. And these ladies were also reading books and stuff. So I just kind of set the bar high. I'm interested in the top shelf liquor and in those top shelf honeys, as we say in this program. But I don't resent women for not being interested in me. Never. People shouldn't care what my preferences are, because they are my own. Now, ladies can have a preference for somebody who's has self-confidence and somebody who is empathic, right? But according to Stefan, they sort of need to be punished for that by ending up with a psychopath. By having these basic expectations or these basic standards, they now have to engage with a psychopath. There's no other way, according to Stefan. And the thing here about it, is what we need more of are parties where people drink. Because you act like more of a normal person there. Things are more relaxed, and this kind of cartoonish idea of self-confidence just doesn't register, because folks are hanging out, folks are mingling, and it's not as one-dimensional as a dating app or some bullshit scenario at the gym that Humanoid has decided to concoct here to punish ladies once again. For in the Garden of Eden, they're going to the snake that is empathic and also high confidence, that are reaching for that snake. We need Jordan Peterson here with the archetypes, and now again they're reaching for that snake of being a normal human being. Those bitches, those little harlots, these whores. I'm sorry. I apologize. Well, let's continue. Yeah.
right? So that's not particularly interesting, original, or deep, but this part is. So clearly, these women are putting the men in the gym into an impossible situation. An impossible situation.
Now perk up your ears, dude. Listen carefully, because this is big. This is the Hamlet of booty shorts. Whoa! Oh, look, my chair is falling apart. You know, from the weight of Stefan's wisdom. Thankfully, I can balance on the remaining legs. Okay. All right. Hamlet of booty shorts is what I wanted to say. That's the punchline.
Which is, you want to work out, as a male, your eyes will be drawn to attractive females. That's just the way it is. I'm going to be super attractive, but don't you dare look.
Stefan, like many other lizards, they have something called the third eye. So Stefan could actually be looking around, looking at babies to collect their DNA, things like that. You know, but his third eye could be fixated on ladies. Now, this lizard third eye, it's not great. And here it says the eye is very small and primitive, but it is able to perceive changes in lighting and assist with the production of hormones and body temperature regulation. So that's all he's interested in anyway.
Don't even look in my direction. Right, as one of the women says, the mirror's everywhere. You can check guys, you can see guys easily checking you out. So I'm going to be as sexually attractive and bare-skinned as humanly possible. You are not allowed to look at me. Looking at me is creepy. Now that is putting men in an impossible situation. Obviously, you have to look at people in the gym. You have to look to see if they're using weights that you want to have. You have to look and see if they left a wet spot on the workout bench. You have to not walk into them. You have to work in with them if you are doing the same like dumbbell exercises or whatever it is, right? So you have to work in with them or whatever, right? You may have to help spot them if they need help. So you need to look at other people in the gym, right? That's natural. I mean, to try working out as if people were invisible. You just walk into them or drop weights on them or whatever, right? And of course, if a woman is treated as if she's not there, she's going to get offended. Like, oh my God, he just walked through, almost like I didn't exist. He didn't even acknowledge my existence. He just walked right into where I was. So you have to know that the women are there. You have to look at the women. The women have made themselves as appealing as possible, but you can't look at the women. Now, so we all recognize that that's a ridiculously impossible situation.
So there's nothing impossible about going to the gym for an hour, 2-3 times a week, and not dedicate all of your time to staring at ladies. That is not impossible. There is a will to resist. Men don't drown in the sea because they're fixated on hot ladies on the beach. And unfortunately, the people for whom Stefan Molyneux is making gym impossible are a lot of socially awkward, completely isolated guys, who are looking for some convoluted schema to organize the world with, and instead of they're digging further and further into the matrix of social isolation, because now the gym has become such an impossible place, and in talking with the gym about the gym, we don't even admit the possibility that the majority of people there are actually coming to exercise. This is Pied Piper for the people on the spectrum, Stefan is, and he's leading them down a shithole.
So if you feel, and it's right to feel in this context, if you feel that you are in an impossible situation, it's because the other person, in this case these women, they feel that they're in an impossible situation. They're not conscious of it. And unconscious conflicts we replicate in others. Unconscious conflicts we replicate in others. So if you have someone who really makes you feel angry, it's because that person is very angry and they're unconscious of it. So if you are in an emotional state because of somebody else's actions, it's easy to just get mad at that person. I understand that. But the real life hack is to say, if you want to understand this phenomenon, these women are putting men in impossible situations. Why? Because they feel in an impossible situation. The women themselves feel that they're in an impossible situation, They can't talk about it. They're not conscious of it. So they reproduce it in others. All strong negative emotions come from unprocessed conflicts in other people.
The longer that I look at Stefan Molyneux, the less I believe that sex actually exists. You know what I mean? Like you might say, oh, my parents had sex and here I am. That's bullshit, dude. I don't want to hear it. Not after Stefan Molyneux video. Just by looking at his horrible face and the whole underpants and all of this, I just no longer believe that sex exists. It's just, it's some sort of a booty chess game and that we're all losing. It's impossible. It's an impossible situation, going to the gym. But it is possible because sex doesn't exist as long as I listen to Stefan. I just can't remember myself being attracted or horny when I listen to Stefan Molyneux. All negative emotions come from something else, but I already forget what it was because, you know, how much can I listen to this shit again and again? No, it's not impossible to go to a fucking gym. It's not impossible to go to a store and see a lady that you find attractive. It's not impossible to go to the fucking beach. It's not impossible to put on tights and cycle thinking only about your booty. It's not impossible. I don't think that there's a conspiracy by cyclists or gymnasts or water sports and so on to wear reviewing clothing. I don't think it's a big fucking conspiracy, you Stefan Molyneux, you lizard, you fucking humanoid lizard. When Stefan looks at a lady, he kind of imagines a corpse into which he can plant his eggs, right? So if a lady, you know, was infected with these lizard eggs, you know, then slowly they would eat at her mind and she would grow more and more red-pilled and then just explode with little lizards running out of her. So that's kind of why Stefan has to look at women like that, you know, but we're not like that, dude. Are we?
I'm sure you could think of exceptions, but, you know, give me the 100% for now. So if you feel strongly around someone, frustrated, angry, scared, nervous, depressed, or energized or whatever, but we don't really worry about the positive emotions, right? But if you feel very strongly around someone, the first place to look is what's going on in their unconscious that is transmitting to you. It's a way of trying to get empathy. If I feel like I'm in an impossible situation, then if I recreate that impossible situation in other people, they will understand how I feel. Do you see where I'm going with this? It's a weird, strange, subterranean, convoluted cry for empathy from others, right?
So if you have been around this channel and you've heard me talk on incels, then you would have heard this likely before. But I just want to give an example. Let's say a person is an incel, and instead of giving them the goal of finding a honey, you would say, well, why don't you find a good male friend? Not your best friend who's going to help you move, not somebody you text with all the time, but somebody you see every couple of weeks and you enjoy the laughs and whatever, and checking out honeys, I guess, with a lizard eye. Those types of like a normal friendship, nothing extraordinary. And how would you go about that? Well, now that sounds like quite a challenge. You can go to work, and then where else do you go? Nowhere, right? Because making friends, even making regular friends, is very difficult today. We live in an antisocial age, for many people at least, who are just disconnected from the network of normal friendships and face-to-face, face-to-face interactions. You know, a lot of the time I opportunistically would hang out with somebody, kind of expecting that maybe, you know, through knowing them, you know, a new social circle would open up. And it didn't, because a lot of the people I became friends with were also kind of not having a lot of friends by themselves. And so if it's so challenging to just find a dude, to just find a platonic normal friend, then why be so angry with ladies that you don't have one, you know? Because it's fucking difficult. I have a therapist because of my condition. And one of the things we kind of talked about, this idea of where to go to create friends, to have a social circle. And basically, they looked at it, they gave me some online university, but that's again Zoom. It's hard to make friends in real life nowadays. And so I hang out around Dharma Center, I hang out by the community college, I hang out by truck stops, just make myself available for a chat. So that's, so it's like, and from this tension, from this horniness, from this longing for a lady by socially isolated people who, may have been socially isolated even in a previous age where people interacted more. There are a lot of grifters, Stefan Molyneux, to some degree, Jordan Peterson, who are just layering and layering shit with concepts. Whereas in reality, we need to find places outside of our house to hang out and meet people. Because when I used to go to parties, some ladies would be interested in me who would have no interest whatsoever in me if I was on a dating site. So yeah, if it's so challenging to find a friend, that it's going to be all the more challenging to find a lady, especially from you spanking the monkey so much on Pornhub, then you have unrealistic expectations. Who knows what the fuck you want? Just don't listen to Stefan Molyneux specifically about this shit. It's just, it sounds like wisdom to some people, but it's just a very kind of edgy neuroticism that is born out of this. Some sort of weird tension when you go to the gym and Stefan has made it into an impossible situation. Like all the shit, he just complicates it and makes you more neurotic. All right, my friends, well, I've said all I could under the circumstances. I'm waiting for the weight of Stefan's face to once again go into the background of my life, go into the dumpster fire, and I hope I don't have to revisit it anytime soon. My friends, all the best to be well.